I only have one free day a week to film, but sure, yeah, get a zit now. Why not? I can't pretend like that's not there, so I have like a blemish concealer that I'm just gonna try to hide it with. I'm hoping that just a little bit. Busted. Seen here, this local YouTube man has been caught applying makeup to himself for public viewing, making this an example of drag, which true patriots disavow. I didn't vote for this. Did you? Do better, America. Hey, happy Pride Month, everyone. I hope you're all able to safely celebrate your identities in any way you can. And I appreciate you. I'm really proud of you for being true to your identity. But come on, what's really stopping you? This is America, the home of the free. Our forefathers died for your right to self-express however you want, because that's what freedom means. Unless you're a part of this mob, or they find you, because then you have to conform to whatever they tell you to, because that's how America actually works. Yep, we're starting off the month dedicated to solidarity, appreciation, and acceptance off strong with bigotry and drag queen discourse, of all things. As usual, the conversation around American culture and politics is easily overrun by fear-mongering and throwing tantrums over non-issues instead of having topics about things that could actually help people or save lives. USA! USA! This video is meant to break down the story as well as go over all of the arguments that are being thrown out here, and especially why, if they are considered with any amount of context or evidence, they don't hold up. It's really a non-issue, I swear. But with this country being so easily swayed by extremist rhetoric, I think this is worth talking about and, as you'll see, disproving. So let's begin. And like every good American discourse, we start in Texas. A gay bar in Dallas put on a family-friendly pride event meant to introduce younger audiences to drag culture, which is traditionally when male performers dress in exaggeratingly feminine styles for their act. A clip from this show went viral with online conservatives, and faster than you could say unemployed, a mob showed up in front of this bar in order to harass them and yell at the patrons and performers inside. A Texan politician even made increasingly swift moves to legislate drag being illegal to children under 18. Texas, fun fact, is still reeling from a gun violence tragedy that probably needs to be addressed a little bit more and maybe even see some legislation to safety, but no, this is what they're focused on. The main talking points being thrown out is that this is sexually explicit, men in feminine clothes are perverted, kids can't be in bars, the left are all groomers, and these kids should be going to church. It's the usual stuff you can expect from them. You should be praying, not slaying, that kind of garbage. The people leading this conversation online are hoping that if they talk fast enough and ignore 90% of the evidence, you just won't put together any context clues, but they are easily disproven if you break them down one by one, so let's do that. It'll be fun. First of all, this was a private event at this bar, and it was very publicly advertised as family-friendly, so no alcohol was being served to children, and there was no nudity on display. I know this because if any of that stuff did happen, the parents would complain, and the bar would get shut down, because that is how laws work. Secondly, though these outfits are embellished in traditional drag fashion, they're perfectly legal and even more modest than other establishments children can attend. No shame to waitresses and cheerleaders. Go take their money. Additionally, this being a family event, that room is packed with adults. Even if the kids were in any danger, that room is very moderated, and there's enough supervision where people can go in and protect their kids. So the kids aren't drunk, the performers aren't naked, and the room is supervised by adults. That's a lot of the talking points just gone, with barely any pressure. Unsurprisingly, a lot of the outrage can be condensed into just the idea that drag is perverted and men are disguising themselves as women in order to indoctrinate kids into, the gay army? I don't know. And I'm not the most well-versed in drag culture as well, but even I know enough to know that I know more than they know. Drag is so much more than just men dressed as women. It's a performance art that simply embellishes freedom of expression, and it's so much deeper than just that. Drag is a talent show, and it's not an easy one. There are comedy queens, pageant queens, spooky queens, and lots more subcultures within it. There is even an entire world of drag kings, so it's not even a gender-specific scenario. Even if you just barely look into it, you'll see that there is a lot of effort and talent that goes into this, and dismissing it all as simply men in disguises shows a lack of comprehension. Standard media is already pretty in tune with this culture, but it's just not always discussed. Medea movies? Drag. Wearing makeup for TV? Drag. Putting on a wig to pretend you're the opposite gender? It's not a perfect example by any means, but it'll piss him off, so drag. We are seeing drag being welcomed into the mainstream now more than ever. RuPaul's Drag Race is constantly ranking high numbers. The most popular series on Netflix's YouTube are two comedy queens roasting their shows. More countries have their own spin-off competitions, and recently the main show had their first straight male contestant, who's competing just based on his performing talent. It's not really surprising that conservatives are able to mobilize against drag so quickly, because drag is a very outward and extravagant, in-your-face kind of style, and if you're not ready to give it a chance, then it's pretty easy to take a firm stance against it. And the rhetoric around drag is so easily controlled if you aren't at least a little engrossed in the culture, so conservatives can say whatever they want about drag, and their base will just believe it. But drag queens are not an idea that you can just exterminate. They're not vermin, unless that's on theme. They're a complex group of performers. Some are gay, some are straight, some are trans. It's just a complex group of people who just want to perform in this style. That's not worth discourse. And for the record, dancing and singing in bright, colorful outfits is perfect for children's entertainment. Like, you see kids and drag queens interacting, and they're just having fun because it's an easy performance to get caught up in. There's nothing bad at that at all. I think kids should be able to embrace that kind of fun stuff. But instead of just letting their kids have fun, these people are protesting the bar. Politicians and podcasters alike are condemning it. They're chanting, "Repent for your sins." And this one brave soldier even made a mini documentary about himself trying to invade the premises.
You're not letting me in a gay bar. I thought you guys were inclusive, man. Hey. Are you guys trying to be inclusive? They're not letting me in a gay bar. Look how inclusive this is. They're going to come here and groom a bunch of children. They're going to groom a bunch of children in here. They won't let me in here, but they're going to let children. All right, hey, you're on a right.
That's right. Don't mess with Texas. We grow 'em tough down here, and we don't back down without a fight. So if you want to tussle with us, we'll film you and nasally call you slurs. But now it is time to address the giant neon pink elephant in the room and talk about the argument that conservatives have used as their main source of fuel into getting this discourse onto everyone's timelines. The bar in question has a giant neon pink sign that reads, "It's not gonna lick itself," that was visible during the event. This is clearly an innuendo for lack of better censorship, doing mouth stuff. The conversation around this was drawn to that like a moth to a giant pink flame. Conservatives raged at it, and even some people in left circles admitted that they couldn't defend it, and it just made the argument about drag being sexual and perverted just get that much stronger. And you know what? I agree. This is just vulgar and unsubtle. And you can try to feign innocence and say that, oh, it's about something else, but you can't fool me. It's not gonna lick itself. Come on. Like, you can't convince me that's about popsicles or ice cream. Only a child would buy that excuse. Oh, shit. It's literally a sign for ice cream. There is dessert on the menus there. I have seen more explicit innuendos in children's animated movies. Why is this the part that people folded so easily over? No parent has to explain to their child what that means if they don't want to. A child will read that and go, "Oh boy, ice cream." And then a parent will see that and be like, "Oh, haha, that's about sex, I think." Yeah, as a reference I get. Sure, it would have been a lot easier for this bar to just turn that light off during the children's performance, but come on. No child is going to freak out or have their world changed, even if they understood the joke about it. But no, these proud American parents want their kids to learn about oral pleasure the traditional way. At school, being bullied on the playground with your mama jokes, or in a public video game lobby. Conservatives think that this sign just existing is a crime, so they condemn drag as inherently sexual. And if you pay attention, they overuse the word groomers like it's their day job.
They're gonna come here and groom a bunch of children. They're gonna groom a bunch of children in here.
That's just the word of the year for them. But let's take a look at what this word actually means, because by devaluing it, we are only muddying the definition. Here's an example. Popular actor and public nuisance Ezra Miller is being accused by a family for grooming their child. Legal documents say they met the child when she was 12, where they became friends, and a year later, Ezra flew her out to a film set they were on since she was a fan of the movie series. The parents say Ezra supplied their daughter with alcohol, weed, and LSD in college, and eventually she dropped out of her private institute since she was just being disrupted by this so much. The legal documents say that upon inspection, their daughter didn't have car keys or a credit card at her house, and had nothing to rely on for her own autonomy. That is someone with a powerful position approaching someone who is younger, using that power to spoil them with gifts, slowly giving them things that they might become dependent on, and pulling them away from other sources of autonomy and help so that they could be their own person. That is what grooming is. Dancing to Lady Gaga in heels is not grooming. This event was put on just to entertain these kids and show them cool drag. It's not to indoctrinate them into being gay. That isn't how identity works. I promise you, this is not a movie where Joe Biden sent death squads of drag queens to Texas as a way to weaponize children. The conservative movement against drag is being led by these reactionary voices against something that they don't understand and don't want to take the time to even attempt to understand. So this just fits the Republican talking point that America is becoming too woke and too progressive. And you probably won't see any Democratic politicians talking about this either, because most of them are old and white and probably just as confused about drag as the Republicans are. And those extremist voices are just going to jump on anything gender or identity related right now because it fits their narrative. The entire movement is geared towards those issues right now. Steven Crowder chimed in and sexualizing minors. Yeah, oof. That keeps happening with these guys. Lauren Boebert, she's advocating people go to church instead so that they can reconnect with No, not that. That's her husband exposing himself to minors in a bowling alley. That's not relevant. Don't look at that. It's not a coincidence that these people are trying to divert outrage towards drag queens when these are the skeletons they have in their closets. There are a lot of dangers American children are facing right now, and it's these guys and churches. It's more statistically dangerous to send your kid to school than a drag show. But since they've convinced their base that trans progressives are the enemy and drag queens fit that mold close enough, they saw this event as a prime opportunity to pounce and spin the narrative in their favor, and people bought it. They don't want to admit it, but they're reacting this way out of fear. It's in the name, transphobia, like phobia. They are scared. Personally, I think life's too short to try to restrict this kind of stuff, and we as people have a lot more problems in life than dancing in dresses, you know? This is a non-issue. So where does that leave us? Well, the culture war smokescreens definitely aren't going to stop anytime soon, so I think it's just important that we reiterate to our people and put our voices out there to say that drag is not the enemy here. I think we should encourage the young people in our lives to be who they are and to not restrict them based on your own prejudices. Be a safe person for your queer friends or siblings or cousins or whoever to come to about these things, because on an individual level, having that resource is super important for young questioning minds, especially if their parents are just gonna do shit like this. If you haven't already, maybe engage with some drag media or go to a live show and see if it's your thing. It's totally fine if it's not, but I think you owe it to yourself to give it a shot, just like everything else in life. If Texas bans minors from drag shows, it will be a step backward, but we'll survive. They usually happen at bars anyway, so hopefully there won't be much ground lost. But what we should keep an eye on is how this bill does start to open the door for going after all trans identities and people presenting themselves a certain way. And that is something worth keeping an eye on and making sure that it doesn't go down that path. In the end, Pride is about acceptance and support in the face of adversity, so that's what I'm going to focus on. I think drag is already worldwide, and we've come such a long way. It's progress. We are making progress despite setbacks. I think that is worth acknowledging. But yeah, that's all. That's the story, and I am just going to remain hopeful that we are overall heading in the right direction. By the way, the only reason that makeup and dresses are considered feminine is because other humans decided that. Like, those are just things that other people gendered. I have worn makeup before. My girlfriend practiced on me, and I felt fine. I didn't change my identity at all. I just looked good. Well, until I tried to take it off, and I just smeared it, and I ended up looking like a ghoul. Turns out I had a cowboy hat this whole time. Remember earlier in the video when I edited the cowboy hat on myself? Well, I went through my closet and I have one. I don't know why I'm like this. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you sticking around to the end, and I hope you enjoyed it. I worked hard on it. Or a little hard, but kind of. I put effort in, I just won't disclose how much. Special thanks to the patrons who donate to me on Patreon and help me support myself. Support me with my... Oh god, it's too early for this. Your generosity makes my day. Thank you guys for being so kind and sweet and purdy. Y'all come back now here. Subscribe for more videos. Why do I seem drunk? I'm just sleepy. I woke up like 10 minutes ago. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you back here next Thursday for another video. Love you lots. Take care of yourselves. Bye.